Hey, hopefully we'll get through the part two a little bit faster, if only because I'm not a whole lot further in the game. I'm surprised at how positive everybody was at part one because I expected this game to be really popular and expected to get a lot of negative reactions. And I have generally, because in my This Game Sucks series that I've sort of started doing, I've been targeting games that are hugely popular, like God of War 4 and Red Dead Redemption 2. And they're both games that I had a generally favorable end rating for, but I was furious with each game at the beginning. Usually for game mechanic purposes, level design purposes, and shit like that. Sekiro, unfortunately, unlike those games, doesn't have a strong story. It doesn't have beautiful graphics. It doesn't have a whole lot of freedom of gameplay. And I've noticed some of you guys in the comments saying that you're pissed off that this game really railroads you. For the game I didn't mention is extremely linear. These levels are really short and really small. And I want to complain myself mostly at how this game doesn't really teach you how to play. We're going to get through a couple of points in this video. It's good to repeatedly compare this game to Dark Souls 3. I know they play very, very differently. However, it's a really good comparison of game design between the two games that are supposedly from the same developer. I don't know if the fucking famous Dark Souls 2 B team made this fucking game, but it really kind of feels like it. And it's more than just the fact that the graphics are ass ugly. They're like 2012, 2013 graphics, seriously. But nobody really cares about graphics. I know nobody does. I'm just mentioning that that's sort of... This game feels really old. Like it's several steps back, I mean, in game design. My major problem is there's too many mini bosses. The mini bosses play very differently. They cause you to almost have to relearn the game every time because the way to fight them is so drastically different from each other a lot of the time. And the rules for how to deal with the bosses are different from the enemies in the area, the enemies in the game in general, and from each and other bosses. And you gotta say, dude, like when these levels are very, 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 very short. If you consider like each area, you get a mini boss and then you get a new area. If you consider each of these almost like different levels, even though I know they're just different sections of a level, you're only gonna get really, especially if you're moving quickly and not fighting everybody you see, you're getting maybe 10 minutes between bosses of just general gameplay. And like you're going to be getting, your money, you're getting your practice, you're getting the meat of the game supposedly from the levels, and then the bosses are supposed to be on the cherry on top. Well, I feel like I'm dealing with a bowl of fucking cherries and nothing else in the bowl. All this game is bosses. Every time I hit a boss, I'm not effortlessly cruising through them. The first couple of times I'm getting fucking mauled, and I know I'm not good, but Dark Souls has something of an unfair reputation. People say that Dark Souls is really hard, and then there's people who are veterans of the FromSoft games who say these games aren't actually hard. There's just rules to the game, and if you can follow the rules, you can win. You should be able to win every time. There is a more than one usually correct way to beat every boss, and as long as you're cautious, as long as you're appropriately timing dodges and learning when to punish the boss, it's mostly just almost like a game of hot potato. It's like, okay, I need to dodge now, because if I attack, I will get punished. Okay, here's the opening, now I punish the enemy. Those are the rules of Dark Souls, and if you can follow those rules, you can beat the game. And especially in Dark Souls 3, and even more so I think in Dark Souls 2, every boss has got enough of a glaring weakness that you can get through. And then some people were mad at me for trying to stick up for scrubs in my initial review by saying, like, look, in Dark Souls 3, everybody can win because at the end of the day, if you have enough patience, if you're just not good enough, usually there's a way to grind for either gear, armor, or just pure levels that you can give yourself just that extra little push of advantage. That extra little, have to hit the boss less, get hit by the boss more and live. These things. Because there's no armor or weapons or rings in this game, because really, so far, at least early on in the game, there's not a lot of advantage, if any, to be gained from your ninja tool thing, your hand. uh, you're stuck with get good, which is not the worst thing in the world. It's not like a fucking make or break point for the game. But that means that you're going to be putting off everybody who doesn't have the patience to get good. And if your game requires the patience to get good, and you are stuffing your fucking game to the fucking gills with prohibitively difficult mini bosses every 5 to 15 minutes of regular gameplay, you're going to demoralize players. You're certainly demoralizing me. Even though I have every intention of finishing this game, I'm finishing this game white knuckle gripped, gritting my teeth, and it feels like I'm in a fist fight with this game because I'm mad at it for being bullshit instead of me having fun. I'm not getting that starting out cautious trepidation feeling, unfamiliar with the level. All the enemies are dangerous, but all of them have some weakness. Either they're glass cannons, or they're easy to dodge, or they're slow, or they're fast, but they don't murder the shit out of you. This game is everything is fast, everything has a complex moveset, and everything can kill the fucking shit out of you early. And Sekiro, the further I get into it, smacks of a game with a reverse difficulty curve, meaning that the beginning is by far the hardest, and once you've got some prayer beads and you got some extra health, I've already got the first health and damage upgrade, and it makes a big fucking difference. But the fact that in order to get that health and to get that damage upgrade, I have to beat enough bosses to cross an item threshold, and there's no other way at all but to just beat the fucking bosses, and there's so fucking many of the bosses that I can't even practice that much because the enemies don't fight like the bosses. They don't give really any value for killing them. Every time you die, you lose half your money, and the 3 or 4 shops I've encountered sell like one valuable item and then trash that I don't give a shit about. So there's no value in killing enemies. You're not grinding for anything of actual value except for skill points. And the skills are just and then several of the skills are locked behind. You got to find this item later on in the game anyway, so if you think you can maybe get an advantage for grinding for skills, only up to a certain point, and then you're just completely stuck, whether it's either beat the boss or stop playing. That's not the greatest game design. And when your levels are small, when you got the stealth mechanic, which means that you got to stealth past everybody if you want a boss rush, sometimes that's easy, sometimes that's not. I explained a couple mini bosses earlier that are surrounded by ads, and you basically have to take the time to kill all of the fucking ads. Now, I remember I talked about the Harada Estate guy. Oh, now you can tell I'm bald. Pop my head off, scratch my head. Don't worry, it's been on camera before. The Harada Estate mini-boss with the spear, the shinobi killer. Remember I complained that he's utterly fucking surrounded by ads, and there is no way to quickly rush to him. You have to patiently kill everyone around him. Funny thing is, as merciless of a fucking unpredictable dick that boss is in straight-up combat, I found out that you can get the fistful of ash, spam that in his face, and just cheese the shit out of him. But that doesn't work on every humanoid boss. That definitely doesn't work on any of the animal bosses. The animal bosses require the firecracker thing. Now, I did beat General Oniwa, the guy in the big battlefield with the cavalry dude with the pike, and I had to just get good. I had to learn that I had to be comfortable and patient, that I had to block, and if I wasn't blocking well, I needed to run away. The shitty thing is they say his weakness is the same weakness as the Blazing Bull, which is to get the firecracker, which is just basically a stun attack where you throw firecrackers all through the air. The problem with this attack is if you use it at point blank range, you will throw it through the enemy like he doesn't even exist, and they will all explode outside of his hitbox behind him. So if I threw that shit in your face, it would blow up in the wall behind you and it wouldn't hit you. And I found out sometimes you can interrupt a boss's attack with the firecracker. Sometimes the boss will not be interrupted or stunned by the firecracker at all. He will completely fucking ignore it because he's in the middle of doing an attack, and he will fucking hit you in the fucking face, and you just wasted your ammo or whatever you want to call it. I forget what the fucking name for those little ong things are. And you didn't hit him. If you're too far away, it doesn't work. If you're too close, it doesn't work. And if you use it at the wrong time, it's completely fucking useless. I despise the way that attack works, and I despise that it is the only effective weakness of anything I'm running into at this point in the game. It's fucking awful. It's fucking awful. Okay? And the thing was, the Raging Ogre that I raged about so often, you could interrupt virtually everything he does with the fire attack, except for a couple of attacks he does. And he's always stunned by it. And the other thing that boss taught me is if I did this fire attack and I missed him, if I whiffed in front of him, he would recoil in fear with a completely different stun animation just because he didn't like fire that much. Like the eavesdrop, the guys who were right before him say, like, oh, he doesn't like fire. Okay. But then when I want to fight General Oniwa and the Blazing Bull with the firecrackers, I can hit them dead on with it, or at least it looks like I hit them dead on, because the way the firecrackers spreads, it's unclear how far forward it goes because of where the camera is placed. And it can look like I hit them dead on. They don't react. Or if I do it point blank, it goes straight through them and blows up outside of their hitbox behind them because it has this very specific, oddly long range where it's easy to whiff short or whiff way past them with it, meaning it's shit. I didn't even use it that much against General Oniwa because it felt like I was just leaving myself open to be punished every single time I missed it because it's such an inaccurate piece of shit attack. It sucks dick. It's generally ineffective because it misses too fucking much. And sometimes it looks like it hits, but it's definitely not. And I don't know if it's because the hitbox of it is bullshit. I don't know if I'm whiffing short and I can't really tell because it obscures my vision rather than being a clear cone of where it hits. Or the boss's hitbox is just iffy. Or their hurtbox, I should say. It's complete bullshit all the way around. This is another one of these little nitpicks where I'm going like, look, this isn't the biggest deal because you can get through these bosses without using the firecracker at all. The thing is, it's supposed to be my advantage and it works like dog shit. And it doesn't have to work like dog shit. It doesn't feel like it's designed to be risky to use. It feels like it's just designed like shit and nobody fixed it. Do you understand what I'm saying? These are the little things that pile the fuck up because this game is chock full of bad little things. Let's try to keep this one under 20 minutes, and we're going to finish with jumping. Okay, this is another thing where I talked about previously. Dark Souls really trains you about the rules of movement and footsie-based gameplay of like trying to cause your opponent to whiff so you can punish them. First thing is Dark Souls trains you to roll through things and use invincibility frames. There's no such thing in Sekiro, meaning that oftentimes muscle memory will have me trying to dash around or through or dash early so I can get an enemy to whiff. And say like General Oniwa, the way he sweeps fucking all over the place with a huge ass hitbox, I'll dash right past him to try to get him to swing late and behind me, but he'll just go all the way around and catch me way at the rear end of his horse. Frequently, sometimes when it looks like the pike doesn't actually hit me, but it goes like too fucking bad, there's an active hitbox here that's not really just the pole, it's everywhere the pole goes, meaning that I can dash and be like here, and the pole still hits me. Maybe I'm not seeing that because it happens in the blink of an eye, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that was happening quite a bit with him. Pisses me off. But the thing is, obviously, I'm supposed to just create actual distance and get away from him, rather than try to dash through. So it's my fault for taking Souls game shit into this game. But there's another specific problem that the Blazing Bull is a good example for. So this game shows that you can jump around, but usually jumping backwards is the best avoidance technique because you're just nowhere near a hitbox. And the game's teaching you pretty early, look, my hitboxes are bullshit. trust nothing, just get away. And the other thing is, you think jumping around in combat might be effective. You can kind of play this almost like Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion and just kind of just jump all around it, motherfuckers. The thing is, the jump attacks, at least early on, don't work very well unless you're sneak attacking somebody, but that's a different thing. It's actually, even when you're locked onto somebody, it's hard to use the very short range of Wolf's sword to jump and hit somebody. Usually you're just going to whiff and leave yourself open. And a lot of times you'll find, especially if an enemy's got a spear, they're just going to whack your ass right the fuck out of the air if you try to jump around them or jump over them or jump through their attacks. They're just going to whack you fucking straight the fuck down. The ogre boss whacks you straight the fuck down. The big samurai guys will whack you straight the fuck out of the air. So imagine my chagrin when I run into the Blazing Bull, who's like 12, 14 feet tall. He's fucking enormous. He's winging his head all the way around. Imagine my chagrin after he kicks my ass 3-4 times. I just go, fuck it. I'm getting mad at this game. I'm going to quit I'm trying to semi-blind play this and only look at the guide if I'm getting pissed off. Because I'm getting pissed off about every 10 minutes. I'm just going to look and see what the weakness of this boss is. And they say, use the fireworks. That already pisses me off because the fireworks don't work worth a god fucking damn, and the Blazing Bull is more erratic and faster than General Oniwa's horse. Meaning that I tried the fireworks. I missed him a lot. They're not effective. It's a shitty attack. I'm not even going to bother. Especially when the punish it's giving me is not a whole lot of hits. And generally, the closer I get to this boss, the more the camera becomes a complete fucking liability, and my entire screen is dominated by the belly or legs or hindquarters of this bull. I can't see where I am. I can't see where his head is. He's hitting me from off camera every time I fucking try to get that close to him. I don't want to fight him like that. So I go, what am I supposed to do? He tracks really well with his charge attack, meaning that you can try to get distance, but he'll turn his head and align your body with his nose. And you can try to dash back, but maybe he'll follow through and crush your ass against the wall. You can try to dash side to side, but chances are he's still going to hit you with the end of his flaming horn before you can clear him to the side. So I'm going, I don't know how to move around this fucking boss because dashing doesn't work. Again, imagine my chagrin when I find out this 15 fucking foot tall boss, the way you're supposed to move around him is to jump over his head. This is the tallest boss in the game so far. Maybe the ogre's taller, but it doesn't matter because the way the ogre is always laying down. Effectively, height-wise, this is the tallest boss in motion, the Blazing Bull. And what you're supposed to do is jump over his head. That's ass backwards in game logic, by the way. I don't like that very much at all. And the other problem is, jumping over him when he dashes at you means, well, what are you going to punish him? He's clear the fuck over there now because he keeps fucking going until he hits a wall. So if you jump over him, that doesn't net you a punish. That just makes it so you avoid getting hit. Apparently the operative strategy is to stick to his ass and sprint and maybe even unlock on so that you don't get fucked by the fucking garbage camera in this game. And as I always say, in all Souls game, the strongest enemy in all of Soulsborne is the camera. The camera's fucking undefeated. That and gravity, you know what I mean? Especially when bosses are chucking you off of cliffs, and the fucking not so great platforming in this game is a bit of a pain in the ass. First of all, or actually last of all, because I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes. But yeah, it's just gay that you got to jump over that boss. Two things. First of all, the Hirata mini boss, the shinobi killer with the spear that I complained about. I learned that you can cheese the ever-loving fuck out of him with fistfuls of ash. There are multiple enemies that you can just stun chain to death with the fistfuls of ash. Some enemies don't give a fuck about the fistfuls of ash, and usually when you're a guy like me, and you have an unreliable attack that it's not very clear how it's going to work, if it's going to work, it's a limited use item, I don't feel like just throwing it at people just to see if it would work, but I was so pissed at that boss. I go, what would happen if I just keep throwing fistfuls of ash in him? That particular boss kicks his fucking ass. It interrupts his attacks. So he's like if he's about to do a spear thrust, I just throw that shit right in his face and he stops in place and lets me hit him once and then starts blocking. But that's great because I can hit him until he blocks and then run away and then throw more ash at him. It doesn't feels sporting. It feels like cheese. It literally fucking is cheese. But it got me past that fucking asshole that had a fucking like 8 to 15 minute, depending on how fucking slow you are with stealth killing all his ads, boss run. This long ass boss run for that mini boss. So I'm a little further in that area, and I passed General Oniwa to the Blazing Bull. So I'm not a whole lot further, but I had a lot more to say about how much I hate the game mechanics here. We're going over 20 minutes, whatever. What was the fucking other last thing when I was talking about jumping around people? Yeah, just the other thing I just really wanted to complain about is just the moves don't always help. Enemies teach you, like, oh, don't try jumping over people, it doesn't work. And then the tallest boss in the game, that's the way you dodge him. And I really, really hate, yeah, this was the last thing. When you jump when you're in stealth, you always land out of crouch position. Why can't I jump while crouched and stay crouched? If you're going to basically teach me through your level design that the best way to move past groups of enemies is to run over these little shingled walls, but the walls are not level. There's always these little step-ups where I have to jump and end up standing and then re-crouch over and over and over again. And that also means if I want to just move around wall hanging and be extra careful, I can't. I have to climb up, re-crouch, or climb up, jump, re-crouch, hang, in order to avoid being seen, sometimes by enemies that are right there. And it almost feels like part of the reason why the enemies are piss fucking poor at seeing you, unless they either A, have a torch, or B, are an archer who apparently have been implanted with the eyes of a goddamn owl. The reason why you can get away with having that obnoxious fucking level design and obnoxious movement mechanic of having to re-crouch every single fucking time you jump, I get away with that because enemies can't fucking see me in broad daylight because they're blind as a goddamn bat. It's just lazy. It feels lazy. And when you combine that with the kind of stiff gameplay where the rules repeatedly change every enemy and boss you fight, some enemies you can blitz and R1 smash. Sometimes if you try that, the enemies will counter the shit out of you. There's only a few enemy designs, at least so far. So the fact that I've only seen like 3 basic enemies, I've seen a sword guy with torch, sword guy with the hat who is slightly less retarded at combat. I've seen spear guy who's a total fucking retard. Archer who is a little bitch, and gunman who's really good at distance, but if you're close to him he's a little bitch, and a dog and a rooster. Okay, that's like the entire cast. Almost all of them fight the same. And almost all of them you don't really want to jump at because there's no point. And then all the bosses, apparently jumping is kind of a good idea. But it doesn't feel clean when I'm fighting these bosses so far. I know I'm supposed to be posture breaking them, but there's a couple of bosses that I did not do any posture breaking to. I just nitpicked their health with cheese and slow, methodical distance management, basically attrition survival tactics to beat. It doesn't feel entertaining. It doesn't feel fun. It feels like I suck or the game is too specific, like to what I have to do to win. There's no other viable strategy except for whatever the fuck the guide says, or you do a cheese war of attrition tactics, and there's no in between. That sucks. I didn't mean to talk for longer than my previous review, especially since I'm only another hour, 90 minutes into the game, and I've only fought, I don't know if I fought any more bosses, just the one mini boss past where I am now. I've gotten to the Raging Bull and to the poison spitting guy in the mansion area, the Harada estate. I've only attempted the poison spitting guy once and found his battle distasteful and went back to trying to beat General Oniwa, and then I got to like another 30 minutes of fucking around to the fucking Blazing Bull, and that's me slow killing everybody, finding every item, and then taking the time to look for, okay, how do I boss rush to the Blazing Bull the neatest where I have their full health and I fought as few enemies as necessary and then made multiple attempts at them. And this is just slow, methodical practice, which is, I guess, according to everybody who's mad at me for dissing this game, oh, that's the way you're supposed to play it. I get that. I am doing the game correctly. The problem is doing the game correctly is not fun. Doing the game correctly sucks, dear viewer. And as much as I want to like this game, I fucking love the stealth shinobi aesthetic. I love the setting. I love the kind of enemies I'm seeing. I even love the whatever the fuck story. I don't care. It's, you know, kung fu stories are always really simplistic. I'm about all of this. I really want to like this. I'm not a contrarian asshole. I'm wanting to like this game more than I do, and the reason why I don't is because it sucks. It's not my fault. I'm trying to love this game, and the game won't let me. The game is like, no, suck my dick. You fucking rub my balls in your face, because I suck. That was awfully gay. I'm not as mad because I'm getting gooder. The thing is, getting good is not as enjoyable as it is in Dark Souls 3 because the level design isn't as good. The difficulty curve is ass backwards instead of correct like it is in Dark Souls 3. And I don't have any room for experimentation or practice, really, and the environments aren't interesting to explore. There's no lore to get out of this Xbox 360 era Ninja Gaiden-esque fucking basic bitch area design. There's nothing to this. I don't even know if this is gonna help the lore fags. Like, why the fuck is there a giant white snake in the canyon? Why the fuck is there a blazing bull that kills everybody around it? You know, who the fuck is General Oniwa and why do I care? Did he kill all these people in this area, or is he the lone survivor of somebody else who came through here and killed all this area? Like, I don't even really think about where I'm going because I don't care. Because the only plot I'm being given is about the dragon rot and why I can't die. I don't know anything about my enemy. I know very little about the person I'm trying to rescue. I know next to nothing about Wolf. And it's a good thing I don't care very much because I'm not being given anything in that regard. So the lore fags must be miserable. So, God, I talked about this game for 30 minutes, but I'm really, again, I'm sorry to finish at the same place that I ended last time, but I hope this game gets better. I hope that it's a nice long game. I hope that as I get some skills and get some more damage and more health, I'm not as miserable. I don't feel as, you know, I hope there's certainly already less getting one-hit killed shit. Again, I'm talking about this reverse difficulty curve where the first real legit boss keeps fucking killing the shit out of you. Then you get to General Oniwa, who's not a mini-boss, he's a real boss, not that bad. It took nowhere near as many attempts to kill him. And then, like, the poison big giant sword samurai guy, and you see how much I don't care about these bosses. I don't even know their names. I'm not even looking at their health bar. I'm just so focused on not getting obliterated. Even that guy, as threatening as he is, and he has all these ads, doesn't feel like he's that bad. I feel like I could figure him out. I've only made 1 or 2 attempts on him. You know, so it's like the difficulty is getting way easier as we get along, which is not good. Because you know how many people who commented on my video and said, like, I played this for like 3 hours and I fucking hate it and I wanted to sell it and I'm pissed off I got a digital copy. Well, first of all, do not buy digital copies. Do not pre-order things. I know that's the one major drawback as a PC gamer is you can't get any money back. And also, you know, if you piss off people, you know, on any sort of digital platform where, and I'm not just talking about Steam, where if you get banned or penalized or something, you don't actually own digital copies. You license them. There's a reason why I stopped downloading games to PS4 and Xbox 360 and shit, is because if I got locked out of my account for any reason, my access to those games was always online DRM dependent, meaning that they were all taken from me if I was behind on a payment or something, or if I defaulted on a card or whatever. So I hate that shit, and I feel for the people who dealt with that. But I also don't think that this game is the kind of like game that you should quit that easy. You should try to get a little bit further in before you decide to get infuriated and say completely fuck this game. The thing is, this game is designed to bar itself from I'm not even talking about casual gamers, bar itself from anybody who's new. People are earnestly trying to get into it and it just shits all over you within the first 30 minutes in a very unfair way. And everybody commented and saying, oh, here's the best way to deal with the ogre. But yeah, but those were the right ways to do it the easiest. And any other way was unreasonably hard. And this is, again, a boss who should have been much later in the game. And it's not like, oh, you can't have a game that's just miserably hard. And there is a market for the people who want the game to be miserably hard. But I want the game to be miserably hard in a way that makes sense and that rewards me for pushing past it. Sekiro does not make sense with its difficulty, and I do not feel rewarded when I beat a boss. I'm not being given a cool weapon. I'm not being given fuckloads of experience. I'm being given amount of money that I'll almost instantly lose the next time I die, because you cut my money in half no matter how much I have every single time I die, meaning that I don't give a fuck about money, especially when I've cleared out all the stores. So it's like, fuck this game, dude. My score, I mean, I'm not giving a score until I at least get close to beating it. But right now, my opinion of this game is negative. I'm not at fuck this game mode. I'm at this game kinda sucks. Maybe more than kinda sucks. Maybe this game straight fucking sucks right now. And I don't want to say that. I'm stressing that again. I know I'm repeating myself, but to finish off, I do not want to hate this game. I paid full fucking price for this game. With trust in this developer, they are letting me down right now. I sincerely hope there's a lot more game, it improves. I said that last time, I'm saying that again. But right now, it's shit, dude.